my podcast with Gulrookh, everybody. Today we have an extraordinary guest, Ruth Nichols. She's an astronaut scholar, an analog astronaut, and the leading researcher in astrobiology and mathematical sciences. Ruth has led to a 14-day analog astronaut mission, contributed to space-related agricultural research, including the famous Martian Ketchup project, and is actively shaping the future of human spaceflight. She's also a passionate advocate for science communication and policy. Today, we'll dive into her incredible journey, the challenges of space exploration, and how astronauts like me, and maybe some of you guys, can follow in her footsteps. Let's get started. Hi, Ruth. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Amazing. It's been such a beautiful day. So, okay, let's just dive into questions. Your journey into STEM is inspiring. What first sparks your interest in space and astrobiology?
Oh, yeah. I guess I was always interested in biology and science in general, including math. I think actually the space interest came a little later in college. But as I grew older, went into high school, I learned more about the complexities of biology, the biology that we can't see, and I took more math classes. And it's kind of a funny story, but I did fencing as a hobby, and my instructor was a physicist. So he gave me some books, and that's when I learned about astrobiology. But I didn't think I could actually have a career in that. I didn't think it was an option, but then I learned more about it and did more research, and now here I am.
Exactly, beautiful. Were there any books, movies, or personal experiences that shaped your passion for space exploration?
Oh man, I think just a lot of the research I got to do. I went to school in Florida around the Space Coast, so it's just a really great place for space stuff. I was amazed when I got to go to NASA Kennedy Space Center for the first time. They just
Very
have so
beautiful.
much.
Yes,
That was amazing.
exactly. So, did you always know you wanted to work in space research, or did your career path evolve over time?
I think it definitely evolved over time. I think some people say like, "Oh, I always liked space," or "I always wanted to be an astronaut." I think for me, it definitely evolved over time, but now I'm very deep in it.
So cool. So, you're an astronaut scholar and a student at Florida Tech. What has been the most exciting part of your studies so far?
Yeah, I think the research was a lot for me. I really enjoyed going to Florida Tech because it's really hands-on. You get to do research like as soon as you start. So I really enjoyed being in Dr. Palmer's lab, which is where I discovered space agriculture and studying how to grow plants in space, which was a really wild idea to me.
Yeah,
So I
fascinating.
think being a part of some projects in that were pretty amazing. And I joined a club about astrobiology there and met other people passionate about astrobiology. So I think those were some memorable experiences.
That's fascinating. So, as a researcher, you study how planets react to threats. How does this knowledge help future space missions?
Mm. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of different questions people are researching in this area. So there are a lot of different applications. I think one big thing is if we understand how we can grow plants in space and in these extreme environments, we can better learn how to grow them on Earth, especially as we have extreme weather conditions and food shortages with climate change. So it's becoming more important to learn how to grow these plants in these conditions, but also help us prepare to feed astronauts in space and perhaps future civilizations in space, and just help us better understand how plants work.
Exactly. So, leading a 14-day analog astronaut mission is so small fit. Can you share some of the most challenging and rewarding moments from that experience?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience for me. Yeah, I was there for 14 days. It was in North Dakota at the Inflatable Lunar Martian Analog Habitat at the University of North Dakota. I think the big challenge for me was the isolation. It wasn't completely isolated, but we
I was
couldn't
going to
use
ask
social
about that
media.
too. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest one for all of us because we didn't even have many windows or anything.
Yes,
We
yes.
couldn't really call family. And so we did get to go outside, but when we did, it was in a spacesuit. So I could see the outside, but I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
It was very strange. So I think that was a big challenge. but also I think I know I had a really great crew and I got along with them well, but I think just by the nature of being an analog, you're all going to be a little stressed and not exactly yourselves. So sometimes there can be minor disagreements or just some stress. um,
Exactly.
yeah, those are some of the challenges. As for some of the opportunities, got to do a lot of research. Like one experiment was the cardio breath experiment, where we did a bunch of exercises and we were attached to, we wore this thing called an astroskin that would collect our heart rate, oxygen
Wow.
saturation, and so on.
Mhm.
And we do this at different points in the mission, and the data will be compared to astronauts on the ISS. So that's pretty exciting. And we also worked with this ExoLab system, which is autonomous greenhouse, also used on the ISS. So those are some things we got to do.
Exactly. Amazing. So, how do analog missions prepare astronauts for real spaceflight? What skills did you develop during your mission?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think analogs are really important to prepare us to go to space before actually going to space. We can
Yeah.
test out equipment here. We can study how people interact and just how to do mission operations, how to do a mission schedule, how to build habitats and equipment for people. And this is cheaper than doing it in space. It's safer, so we know it works before going into space. And I think it trains astronauts, but it also can be educational for students like me, and just have a lot of research potential as well. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it. Some of the things I learned, I think, was more about myself, like how I work under stress and how I work with other people. And I think I got a lot of independence because I was kind of on my own with a few other people, and we
That's
had to
yeah.
yeah, we had to think critically a lot too about if something happens, what do we do? We can't really ask for help or like get someone to do it. So
True.
I think I had a lot of personal development.
Cool. So you're involved in science policy and communication. What do you think is crucial to bridge the gap between scientists and the public?
Mm. Oh, that's a good one. I
Okay.
feel like that's very difficult, and I sadly I feel like the gap is maybe growing, but I think that there are a lot of organizations that are trying to fill that gap. Like I was with the Aerospace Industries Association in DC, and they try to connect the industry, like aerospace companies, with the government, so that their voice is heard, that the industry is heard in the government. So I think that's really valuable. And there are other organizations for scientists. And so I think being a part of those is really important. Just having a dialogue and trying to have education both ways, I think, goes a long way. Yeah, I think that's a big one. And I think the thing is that with scientists, we tend to really specialize and we go to conferences where we just talk to other scientists.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's on the part of scientists to try to get outside of their comfort zone and meet people who are from different backgrounds and learn about other things as well.
Yeah, true. So let's talk about your personal life. Balancing research, missions, and advocacy must be challenging. How do you manage your time and stay motivated?
That's a hard one. I'm still working every day.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy what I do. So I think just the joy of it really helps keep me going, and motivates me to do my work. I think that I work really hard. I work a lot. So I think sometimes I put work too much before life and I can struggle with balancing it sometimes. But also I think for me, I've been trying to find a way, how can I like do both at the same time?
Uh-huh.
Like maybe, hey, I want to go see a friend. What if we like go study together at a cafe or something?
Yeah.
Like what is there ways I can do both at the same time? So that's been really helpful for me, and just really looking at my time and devoting specific time to do this and that. And I think also just try to keep checking in with myself with how I'm feeling. Have I checked in with my friends, or am I anxious about this work assignment?
Yeah.
Like those are a few things that I try to do.
That's amazing. So, what do you enjoy doing outside of research and space related work? Any unexpected hobbies or interests you have?
This might not be unexpected, but I like to read sci-fi books
Oh,
and
wow.
watch sci-fi movies, like space movies. So
Yeah.
I really like to do that. And I think I mentioned I like to do fencing, like sword fighting. I've
Oh,
been
wow.
kind of out of it for a while, but I really
That's
enjoy that.
fascinating.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
also enjoy camping, but I
Camping,
really
that's
want
my
to
favorite
find more
one.
time.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very
So,
few of my hobbies.
yeah, cool. So, as someone who dreams of becoming an astronaut, I'd love to hear from your advice. So, what are the key steps someone like me should take to get there?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess I think definitely just finding what you're passionate about. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
think there's a specific route you have to take to be an astronaut. I think part of the beauty of it is there's so many different ways
Mm-hmm.
you can go. So I think it's about finding which way is right for you. Primarily, I think find your niche, your specific field that you're passionate about, the work that you're really interested in, whether that's engineering or biology, math, something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, but also being open to explore different areas
Yeah.
as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
one trait is being like very knowledgeable in one thing, but also I think having a lot of different skill sets, being
Yeah.
able to transition between skills in different
Sure.
areas, I think is
Being more
very valuable.
flexible.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's hard to achieve, but try to specialize, but also generalize at the same time, um, which is
Yeah.
kind of hard to do.
Mm-hmm. So,
And
okay. So I was pursuing science in foundation program in Salman University in Malaysia. So I am
mm,
planning to pursue a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in the United States this year
ah,
in the fall. So, I don't know about my master's degree, but I need to get a master's and PhD as an experimental year, right? So, I am planning to learning a chemical engineering in the master's. Is that really helps me to get to NASA's astronaut program,
mm.
like chemical
Oh
engineering?
wow. Wow. First of all, congrats. That sounds like a really interesting
Thank you.
path. I think chemical engineering, I feel like that has a lot of potential. There are a lot of research areas in that in space. I'm not super familiar with chemical engineering, but I've read a couple of papers
Mm-hmm.
involving that. So I think that would be very useful. And I think having the electrical engineering is great, but also personally, I think having chemical engineering, I feel like that's not as many scientists or not as many astronauts have that. So I think that will make you stand out. That's just my
Wow,
opinion. Um,
that's so good
yeah,
to
so
hear
I think
that.
that would be a
You
good
made my
approach
day
if that's
today.
what you're really passionate about.
Thank you. So, what are the biggest challenges aspiring astronauts face and how can we overcome them?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard one. The biggest challenge is, I don't know, I think it's really competitive and it can
Yeah.
be hard. I guess we're talking about the motivation and just keep going and to realize what skills to work on. So it's kind of all
Mm-hmm.
these things we've been thinking about. Um, so I think it's a big thing is just to realize to enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's that I understand that you might not become an astronaut, but to still enjoy the journey, not just
Mm-hmm.
to purely be an astronaut, but to learn about chemical engineering or to do this or that in itself should be meaningful to you. But also, I don't know, I think keep the doors open. There's more private astronauts, like there are a lot of companies, commercial astronaut training. So
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many opportunities. And I think this goes back to the work-life balance. Try to balance
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
also open as many doors as you can to really explore and see what type of options there are, and you just don't know where you'll end up. So I think the motivation can be difficult because of how competitive it is.
Yeah. True. So, what's next for you? Any upcoming research missions or projects you're excited about?
Yeah, so I'm doing my master's degree right now, and I'm
Mhm.
planning to graduate this summer. So that's exciting. And then I'm hoping to start my PhD next year.
Oh,
Um, so we'll see where I end up.
yes,
And
that's
I
really
guess,
great.
thank you. Um, and besides that, I don't think it's been officially announced yet,
Mhm.
but I think I can say that I was accepted for another analog mission this summer in the
Woo!
Arctic.
Congrats!
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Then I'm gonna invite you for my next podcast someday. I am so excited for your mission.
Thank you.
Okay, how can our listeners follow your journey and support your work?
I'm very active on LinkedIn
Yeah.
generally, so
Mhm.
I try to share updates there. Um, and I published a few papers. I'm trying to publish a few more, so I'll also stay updated on that. And I right now am a visiting scholar with the Blue Marble Space Institute.
Mhm.
So sometimes I post articles in their newsletter or do work with them. So those are a few ways you can learn more about what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you. So I was really curious about something. Do you know about the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, right, in California? So
Yes.
are they accept international students for the hands-on projects or doing some astronaut practices? Is it acceptable? I mean, like international students can be accepted to that the laboratory.
Mm. I think so. Yeah, I know of a few international students who have collaborated there. So yes, it's possible, but I think it'll depend on what job you're looking at or
Mhm.
what task
Mhm.
activity you want to do. It might not be as common as the ones for Americans, but there are opportunities. So definitely.
Oh wow, thank you so much. So if you go back and give advice to someone who is in my age, I am 18 age right now. So 18 years old. So what advice would you give to someone who is in my age right now?
Mm. I think a big thing is to stay open minded and try to
Mhm.
learn as much as you can. It might be stressful to feel like, especially starting college, to feel like you need
Mhm.
to know what you want to do for your life, and
Yeah.
things can get really serious with life, and I don't know, being more independent.
Yeah.
But I think just try to stay open minded. This is a time to explore and learn a lot about your career interest in life and so
Sure.
on. So try not to be too serious.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruth. I am so happy to have you on my show, and I had really great insights from you today. And thank you so much for all of that. I appreciate a lot, and maybe we'll see you in the future someday. Thank you so much again. Thank you once again. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
Exactly. So, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and make sure you guys leave thumbs up and comment down below. Thank you so much. Bye bye.